On July 20th, 2021, U.S. Paralympic swimmer Becca Myers wrote a harrowing social media post. In her own words, "I've had to make the gut-wrenching decision to withdraw from the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics. I'm angry, I'm disappointed, but most of all, I'm sad not to be representing my country. What happened was a failure of the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee to advocate for appropriate accommodations for their athlete to attend an event that is supposed to be designed specifically for people who are disabled. Becca Myers is deaf-blind and requested to have her personal care assistant attend with her, as she does at every international competition. Instead, she was told that her PCA was not an essential part of the staff, with the reason being that the team would have a PCA available. One PCA for 33 USA swimmers. One PCA who was not the person Becca trusted traveling with. Wrapping up her statement, she said, "In 2021, why, as a disabled person, am I still fighting for my rights?" Winning a Paralympic medal signals that you are one of the top 3 people in the world to ever master your sport. Or does it? What about the ones who can't actually get to the competition? Not because they aren't qualified, but because of barriers that prevent them from getting to the destination. After all, for many, training is not their full-time job. The majority of Olympians and Paralympians aren't paid that well for their efforts, but Paralympians actually had a pay gap to overcome, with medalists being awarded only 20 to 25% of what Team USA's Olympians were. The Tokyo 2020 Paralympics will be the first games where the Team USA athletes can go in knowing they're going to be paid equally to the Olympians. So the cost can be prohibitive, but as a visitor to a foreign country, accessibility of the team's facilities, competition venues, and surrounding areas is extremely crucial. For example, in 2018, the Paralympic sled hockey event was held in a rural part of South Korea where there were many barriers even for its own disabled residents who knew the area, including transportation staff who did not have proper training and a lack of ramps and accessible seating at restaurants. Athletes at the 2020 Tokyo Paralympics are sure to encounter similar barriers, whether in rural or urban areas. According to gotokyo.org, most train stations within metropolitan Tokyo will have an elevator. Emphasis on the most. Also, that you may have to navigate busy and narrow platforms. I have to wonder how narrow the platforms are and if they were designed with all wheelchairs in mind. Also, according to JapanGuide.com, older buildings may be too narrow and have steps, although modern buildings are typically accessible. They go so far as to recommend using a compact wheelchair, but that is simply unrealistic for many and infringes on their independence. On the plus side, Japan has been making a push to become barrier-free. Japan is known for the quality of its restrooms, and even has restrooms designed for use by people who have colostomies. Tokyo is also one of the first 6 cities in the world to have wheelchair-accessible routes included in Google Maps. Since these barriers are a reality at this point, being prepared to attend a large event like the Paralympic Games is no small task for the individuals visiting or for the host nation. With the infrastructure being what it is, efforts have been made by various groups on various levels to make the trip as smooth as possible for those with disabilities to navigate. Today, we'll learn about 3 different apps designed for the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics and the people who created them. I proudly present the 2020 Modern Access Medalists in Assistive Technology. Future inventor Arhan Bhakti was attending the Paralympic National Games in India in 2015 when he was shocked to find that there were stairs with no ramps for the athletes to use. At the age of 16, he recruited corporate sponsors to fund the InRio app, which the Indian team would use at the Paralympic Games to find accessible locales in Rio, as well as connect with other disabled Indians who called Rio home. The app was a success for the 2016 Games and is making a return with the new name IndTokyo, for this year's Paralympic Games. IndTokyo is taking home the bronze medal today for its usefulness in pinpointing the places that would be best to visit, as well as its innovative social feature. Because it's focused specifically on the Indian team, InTokyo can help this group feel connected to home and find places to go that serve their cultural needs. Once the Paralympics are over, Indians who live in Tokyo can continue to benefit from this app as long as it stays available. Our other two medalists were created by Japanese groups, specifically in preparation for the Tokyo Games. The Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games are actually offering an official tech solution for athletes and visitors to the city with certain disabilities. Omotenashi Guide is an app that is mainly intended to translate verbal announcements made in competition venues into 6 languages, as well as showing them in writing for deaf and hearing impaired attendees. Conversely, the app can read aloud written text for those who are blind or visually impaired. Omotenashi Guide is being awarded our silver medal because this is a crucial service that may help relay security information and emergency announcements to more people. It will also give more people access to information regarding the ongoing competitions. The Japan and Tokyo metropolitan governments will be able to continue using Omotenashi Guide after the event is over, and plan for this to be one of the legacies of the Tokyo 2020 Games. This app doesn't appear to have information about physical accessibility in the area, but that's likely because they knew about the development of our gold medalist and intend for people to use them together if need be. That gold medalist is an app called Bmaps. It was developed way back around the same time as the InRio app, and was designed for use by wheelchair users as well as anybody who needs barrier-free routes and buildings, such as people with baby strollers. Bmaps was created by the Nippon Foundation, who, to quote their website, has been working for many years to make information more accessible for persons with disabilities, and when Tokyo emerged as the successful bidder to host the 2020 Olympic and Paralympic Games, the foundation decided to develop a barrier-free map application. The Nippon Foundation is an organization dedicated to improving society through the creation of new social frameworks in the form of laws, regulations, and customs, working with academics, companies, and institutions in the public and private sectors to do so. The Bmaps app contains photos and reviews for public locations and documents potential barriers as well as what kind of accommodations can be found there. All this information is documented by actual visitors to these locations, not just business owners themselves or the government. This crowdsourcing makes it possible to gather the most information possible for patrons to view ahead of visiting. That also means it evolves over time in case something changes. The things that are tracked include whether there are steps at the entrance and how many, info about accessible restrooms for colostomies and wheelchairs, noise level, whether there are electrical outlets that can be used to charge a wheelchair, and if the establishment is guide dog friendly. This information is documented using icons, which can help avoid a language barrier. A prototype for the app was released for free in April 2016, with 16,000 locations already available at launch. As of 2018, over 70,000 locations have been added. It's currently available in 6 languages. To summarize with one more quote from the Nippon Foundation, they are promoting Bmaps to increase the amount of information submitted by as many people from as many backgrounds as possible, with the aim of achieving a society in which anyone can go about their daily life with peace of mind. And that is why I have decided to award them with the gold medal. So those are our 3 medalists for this year. What did you think? Should any of these apps have ranked higher or lower? I don't know much about using these apps firsthand, since I couldn't just hop on a plane to Tokyo and try them out, so you'll have to keep that in mind. Those who are traveling to the Paralympics can get all 3 of these apps for free, and that's a win in my book. Up next, we'll learn about what one of the Paralympics broadcast networks has planned to increase the accessibility of their content. NBC Olympics has announced that they will feature more Paralympics coverage than ever this year, with 1,200 hours across their network and cable channels and streaming services. That's way up from the 250 hours they aired during the 2018 Winter Paralympics. In fact, almost as many hours will be aired on their television channels, NBC, NBCSN, and Olympic Channel this year. This will also include primetime coverage, always reserved for the main events and compelling stories during the Olympics on NBC. It's definitely going to be the peak so far for viewership. NBC is definitely making the Paralympics more accessible to the casual viewer, but will the content be accessible to everyone? NBC Universal has stated that they will be updating the accessibility features of the NBC Sports app and the NBC Olympics website. They are offering closed captioning for their streaming coverage of Olympic and Paralympic events for the first time. Live audio description is going to be available for every Paralympic event to be aired on television. Perhaps the most groundbreaking thing about this is that NBC Universal has opened up a convenient way for their viewers to let them know what they think of the execution of their services. They created the hashtags NBC Olympics A11Y and NBC Paralympics A11Y, a variant on the A11Y hashtag, which stands for accessibility. They're asking viewers to use these hashtags to not only share with others that these services are available, but also share their feedback about the services. Listening to the ones who actually use these services is a sign that NBC Universal has the right intentions and gives me hope that their broadcasts and promos won't be taking advantage of the athletes for just a feel-good narrative. Hopefully this sheds some light on the changes that need to, and certainly can, be made in the media. NBC's actions are a step in the right direction that other businesses should learn from. Seeking out feedback from disabled consumers is the best way to guarantee that no one is excluded from your programming or whatever other service or product you provide. And that's a win-win situation. We've seen how powerful it is in the video gaming community. Leveraging social media to acquire that feedback is simply the way to go. To quote Peter White, Disability Affairs correspondent for the BBC, changing centuries of prejudice and misunderstanding about disability is a heavy burden to place on a group of athletes who, let's face it, are doing this because, just like their Olympic counterparts, they love sport. It's important to acknowledge the pressure Paralympic and Olympic athletes face, and for everyone to do their own work to learn, understand, and create change. The Tokyo 2020 Paralympics are happening from today, August 24th, through September 5th, and I can't wait to check them out. I hope you'll join me and let me know what your favorite moment was. My sources for this episode can be found in the description or on our new website, modernaccesspodcast.com. If you have a question, or if you know of any adaptive tech that you think should be featured in an episode, or if you just want to get in touch, email me at modernaccesspod@gmail.com, or you can leave a voice message on Anchor and it might get played on the show. The easiest way to support this show is to subscribe to Modern Access wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also follow Modern Access Pod on social media. Modern Access is produced and hosted by me, Coach Kaitlin. This show's theme music was written by Quentin Wolf. Graphic design for Modern Access is done by Allison Manares. Thanks to you for listening.